even our allies, Pakistan, Turkey, etc., they're like, what are you guys doing? Wait, does anyone have a right to defend themselves outside of Israel? And then what's amazing is, congratulations, Donald Trump, you put Pakistan and India back together because they both were like, wait, what? Why did you guys attack? And so that leads to another point. Now America and the European Union are like, okay, now that we bombed the living crap out of you, let's go back to the negotiating table. You go to the Iranians, they're like, what negotiating table? You murdered our lead negotiator, and then you said that you were going to, and you did that, by the way, and you murdered our top politicians and our top military leaders, and you bombed the hell out of us. Israel did, right? That was the initial attack. And then, and you did that while you were pretending to do peace negotiations with us. And then again, you murdered our negotiator in the middle of peace negotiations. Then America said, all right, fine. Trump said, we'll give you 2 weeks. And then a couple of days into that, now, by the way, Trump admits, yeah, we were tricking them. We were pretending to do peace when we were going to do war. Remember when I ran on anti-war? What a funny joke that was of my own voters. My voters, the independents and MAGA, all those guys believed I was anti-war. No, I work for Israel. If they want a war, just like Iraq, I'm going to give them a war just like Iraq. In Iran, we're going to use fake WMD intelligence just like we did in Iraq. Then we're going to change the goalposts, a regime change just like we did in Iraq. And I'm just going to keep going and tell you how, and he keeps saying over and over again, Trump, oh, Netanyahu and I are such great friends. And I love Netanyahu. Dude, I get it. You got bribed by the Adelsons. Yes, they're legal bribes in America. I get it. All of, like 80% of Congress, literally, is bribed by AIPAC. Those are campaign contributions and they just happen to say you should do exactly as Israel orders you to do. And those same 80% of Congress people do exactly as Israel orders them to do, as they do with big drug companies and banks and all the rest. And so they think, okay, we got them under control and we're going to do whatever the hell we want. So now Trump is saying, sad day for you guys. So, but Iran's saying, okay, now you want me to do peace, but you blew up the peace table. You literally blew up the peace table. So now you're saying, you're going to attack me, but I shouldn't attack you back. No deal is what they're saying. So look, I hope their counterattack sucks. I hope we don't lose anybody. I hope that it allows us to get past this and get back to peace, etc. But is that likely? No, it is not likely. And I'll tell you what people are most concerned about. That's the Strait of Hormuz. So, and that touches business interests. So they're very, very concerned about that. So there's a couple of possibilities. New York Times is reporting that Iran might hit us in our bases in Iraq and Syria. Our troops are largely unprotected there. And that's by design. So that they can get killed so that Netanyahu and Trump can scream at the top of their lungs, oh no, we need to do more attacks on Iran. We need to have a bigger war. What happened, anti-war prick? Okay, you're not anti-war at all. So if you're a Trump voter, they lied to you. And now saying that it's about regime change means we're staying, and that's a bigger lie, giant lie after lie. Just like they lied to the Iranians and said they were going to do diplomacy, and they see Trump said he'd give them 2 weeks, and then he did a surprise hit again on them, right? So Iran's like, you want us to come back to the peace table to do what? To get murdered? No. Okay, he's like, we would do real peace. And by the way, in case you want to know, because everyone in American media says stupid stuff like, oh, we were having trouble with the negotiations, and then they had their nuclear facilities. They never explained that it was for nuclear energy. They never explained that they don't have a bomb. They weren't close to a bomb. But they don't explain that, no, Iran has actually offered over and over again, we will stop enriching uranium. We will let you take the uranium from here, move it to France, and then France makes sure it's safe, and then brings it back for only energy use. We will give our plutonium to Russia, and Russia will make sure that it is safe. We will do everything to end our nuclear program. And it won't be anywhere near weapons grade. France and Russia will make sure of that. Did you hear that on cable news? No. On cable news right now on MSNBC and CNN, there's pundits and politicians going, and so-called intelligence analysts, military analysts. Of course, they all love the war. So they're going and go, oh, well, this is a brilliant strike by Donald Trump. I'm surprised by how brilliant and awesome this war is. Way to go, Donald Trump. Guys, who were telling you how terrible Donald Trump is? He starts a war for Israel. All of a sudden, they're all over cable news going, bravo, including on MSNBC. A bold strike destroys Iran. So strong. What a great leader. Oh, all of a sudden, you start a war and cable news and mainstream media start kissing your ass 24/7, and not just Fox News. CNN and MSNBC too, okay? So the reality is we could have gotten rid of their nuclear program without bombing them. So when the media frames it as, do you want them to have a nuke? Like your only two options are either they have a nuclear bomb or we invade them and attack them. No, the other option was a peace treaty, the one that Obama had. We got rid of their uranium program entirely under Obama. They would, again, like I said, they were taken out to France and Russia, and it was perfectly safe. Trump ripped that up like an idiot, like an egomaniac, and also because he's corrupt. And his donors, the Adelsons have given him $317 million. You think they did that on America's behalf? You think they did that for their health? No. And they brag about it. And Trump even says it in his first term. He said, I moved the embassy because they asked me to, about the Adelsons. He just says it. He just gives his foreign policy to his donors. So now the reality is we had those two options. We could have done a peace treaty, and Trump could have just gone back into a very similar deal that Obama had. Iran offered it again and again and again. So don't let American media lie to you and tell you that there was only two options. There was an infinitely better third option, which was a peace treaty they were perfectly willing to do that would have made sure that they had no chance of getting nukes. Okay, so now if they hit our bases, they don't have Iron Dome, so a lot of our soldiers will die, a lot of our troops will die, and then mainstream media will kick into hyperdrive, and 80% of Congress that's corrupt and works for AIPAC will kick into hyperdrive, and they'll be like, oh, now we got to do regime change. I can't believe they counterattacked. Oh, they're terrorists. Are we not terrorists for bombing them? No, it only goes one way. And by the way, already well over 200 civilians dead in Iran. Is that not terrorism? No. It's only terrorism when Muslims do it. It's only terrorism when Israelis or Americans die. Oh, we can murder as many people in Gaza as we like. And Israel murdered over 50,000 in Gaza, over 17,000 children, around 20,000 women, all murdered by accident. You accidentally murdered 17,000 children? No, you meant to hit them and you did hit them. That is terrorism.